The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Icons of Real Estate podcast. Today's guest is Jill Leberknight, an energetic artist, educator, and public servant. Starting on the magic of theater, Jill is now shining in her success in real estate. She's the founder of the Austin Holistic Real Estate Group, merging intentional real estate coaching with holistic home ownership decision-making. And guess what? We met at a dinner in Vegas, and now here we are on the Icons of Real Estate podcast. Welcome to the show, Jill.
Oh, it's so wonderful to be here today. Just hearing your voice and seeing you, Tomas, brings back a lot of wonderful memories of our collaboration, our creative, authentic collaboration that we had in Las Vegas at EXP Con.
Exactly. And even that conversation that we had over dinner, that itself could be the podcast, you know. I don't know why we're
I'm working
again.
through one of the books that you recommended. So
nice, amazing.
I'm just sort of at the beginning, but yes, you planted some important, valuable seeds that have been percolating for weeks since we visited.
Awesome. And yeah, but today is about you. So let's start with your real estate journey, as this is the Icons of Real Estate. So please spare no details, because I know you like a good story and we love a good story.
I often don't get a chance to share the whole story. So you will not offend me if you have to kind of, do gotta trim it down, Jill. But I am a classically trained actor, singer, dancer, and was, dreaming one day of being in New York City on Broadway. I was a musical theater gal, and that's all I wanted to do until I was at Penn State undergrad, Penn State University in State College, Pennsylvania, and I fell in love with teaching. And so my dreams of being on the stage kind of took a little bit of a turn into my desire to teach and inspire the next generation of young artists. So I became a high school drama teacher. I know it sounds so sort of, cartoonish, but yes, I was a high school drama and dance teacher. But there was nothing that I imagined that I wanted to do more than to spend my life completely engrossed in, like I said, inspiring the next generation, helping to raise, creative, confident, and inspired artists. And I started teaching at an all-girls boarding school outside of DC, an Ivy League girls boarding school called Foxcroft, that I'm still, this school is still near and dear to my heart. It was, the faculty lived on campus. We were with the students day and night, cafeteria, church services, outings, everything, holidays. Well, we had some breaks at the holidays, but, and then I had always dreamed of getting my MFA in acting, which is the finite degree that an actor can receive, sort of like the PhD of acting. So I auditioned for all the college programs across the country. I went up to New York City and auditioned for all the university resident theater companies, and a variety of schools gave me offers, and the University of Texas at Austin was the school that I chose to pursue my advanced degree in theater. So I came down to Austin imagining that I was only going to be here for 3 years to complete my education. And 25 years later, I'm still here in Austin, Texas. But I share that story not to overburden folks with details, but I came down here to advance my my teaching skills to share with students. But oftentimes in the arts, when the budget gets tight, the arts teachers are the first to go. So I was in Austin with my position had been eliminated at the school, the boarding school that I was teaching at after I left the University of Texas at Austin, another boarding school in the west side of Austin. And so I was at this place. I was working on a TV show at the time, a PBS education show called The Biscuit Brothers. And I didn't want to leave Austin. So I was at this place of reimagining, okay, well, I want to stay here in Austin. I'm working on this project. I developed some wonderful friendships. And what do I want to do next? And my boyfriend, now husband at the time, said, why don't you explore real estate? And at the time, I had zero prior knowledge or interest in real estate other than the narratives and the stories that we all see in movies about what a realtor is.
Was he in real estate, or
He
why
was
did
not.
he?
My husband's a filmmaker, playwright, arts guy.
So where did the real estate came from? Why did he suggest that?
I was going through a growth stage of, I'd gotten a little tired of theater, and I was raised, my dad was in marketing. My dad and my stepmother were in marketing. My dad's father, my grandfather, was the longest serving borough councilman in Pennsylvania history. So he was a civil servant. And I was starting to, as I was growing up and had kind of explored my first job, was starting to have my first sense of, there's some different skills that I want to explore. There's something else that I want to be doing. And I was exploring marketing and PR and all these other odd jobs when he was like, you know what? I think you might be good at real estate. He didn't, again, that's a good question, Tomas. You're the first person that asked that when I've shared this story. He had no experience. I think one of the blessings that I have in my partnership with my husband is that he's just has a really great sense of observation and reading people and getting to know people at a deeper level. And I think he could see some skills that I had that I hadn't quite developed yet or allowed to grow. And I started taking classes. I got my license in 5 weeks over Christmas break. It was about this time 18 years ago that I was going to take classes in person here in Austin. And, I had all the typical dreams of, the gold blazer wearing, it was sort of like a heightened teacher, like a principal type person, but that made money. And so I stepped into this world, and to condense the story a little bit, I ended up falling madly in love with this profession. I think the teacher in me started working with clients, buyers. Oftentimes realtors kind of step into real estate serving buyers first before they work with sellers. But the teacher in me really loved the opportunity to educate first-time home buyers on what is this process. It's a mystical, still, even after almost 18 years, I still am fascinated with how the consumer and the public don't really understand how real estate works. But so I was falling in love with, I get to be a teacher. And I didn't realize I had this desire and interest in contracts and that side of real estate. And of course, the artist in me loved unleashing some of my creativity. Each client, certainly as I evolved into representing sellers and listings, I got to be creative in how I presented a house and how I marketed a house. And certainly in real estate, we're all independent contractors. So we're independent business owners. And that's, I think, maybe what my husband was seeing, that I kind of had a desire to blaze my own trail, do my own thing. And he thought that this industry might provide me with a great framework for that. Um, and I do love marketing. And so the real estate industry provided me with this wonderful framework, as I keep saying, to unleash all of my hidden interests and passions in the arts and marketing and storytelling and research. I love history. And then I using my theater background and a lot of my training in self-awareness, body awareness, I started to be mindful. As realtors have a tendency, we take a lot of classes, a lot of sales classes. I was really tuned into, oh, I don't know if that door knocking, cold calling, hard sell sales routine is for me. So let me explore and research this other side. And I started to develop and create my path. And there was, I just remember, I still to this day remember how thrilling it was to build my own project. And I didn't even know, early in my career, I didn't even know how much building something of my own. And I use the word building because I've learned that I like to build things. And it's not I'm not building a birdhouse, but like a project, an entrepreneurial entity. And I didn't even realize until I started walking on my path in real estate how much energy and purpose and meaning I found through the act of an entrepreneurial creation. And I realized that I wanted to create a real estate service that was focused on teaching and serving my community. So I say that I'm a referral-based business that focuses on referral-based but community-focused real estate business. So, you know, through the journey, there were ups and downs of not producing, you know, fighting against the norms and the traditions and routines in real estate of really having an intense focus on money and making more and being more and building more. And throughout that whole early young journey of my career, there was this very strong, solid voice that was like, that doesn't fit me. That's not what this is about. I want to help people. I want to serve people. And I guess that was the teacher in me that, you know, really wanted to help guide people. But I kept at it in the early years. I didn't really see success in my business until year 4.
Yeah, but that I think that happens when you're trying to create your own path in your own unique way. And I think you actually rocked at it because it's harder and harder to be unique, right? Not that everyone is unique. Obviously, everyone is unique, but it's hard to showcase that because I don't know if you saw last week, we just reached 8 billion people in the planet. And we know that realtors, it's not only 2 in your state, right? So the way that you did, like, I love helping people. Well, everyone says it. Everyone loves helping people, but you did it with style and with a passion that the clients could see that, and that's you creating your path. Like I saw, I hope the audience after this episode will see the videos. Like I saw some videos. How would you showcase this home? Talk about this deal. And it was I've never seen anything like that, Jill. Like I would imagine like something, yeah, with a nice video graphic, but not with such passion as I've seen you, well, let's say it perform.
Oh, well, that was its own journey as well. Like I'm learning a lot just from your feedback and thoughts generated from my story that I shared. You know, early in my career, as I was discovering who I wanted to be as a realtor, I found myself coming back to my strengths. I'm a good teacher. And so I started teaching classes for my community about things that I thought would be interesting to them. So that was a part of how I built my, the, I don't want to call it a loyal fans in my community, but my loyal sphere of clients that come back to me time and time again and refer clients to me. It was because of that early time and the lessons I learned about, if I give without expectation, if I just come to the table and share my little piece of expertise and expose you to that, and I don't ask for your business, like that's a powerful energy moving forward. And then in terms of the video work, I was an early adopter of video for real estate. I remember back in 2009, when I was starting to do video at my previous brokerage, we would have sales meetings or production conversations and coaching about, what we call in our industry lead generation time, what I call client cultivation, business development. But I remember they did not want to consider my video work as lead generation time. I had to convince them.
Yeah.
And my business that year, when I completely, and I didn't have time to do shows anymore, but my husband's a filmmaker. I'm a creative. I'd been on a TV show for almost, at the time, I think 6 years. So I was like, well, let's unleash our creativity on video for real estate. And it was such a new thing, and we were having a blast doing it. My business production increased 238% that year that I started. And I remember that was such an explosion of business. It like changed me at the molecular level, because I also didn't ever imagine that I could be successful. That was another big turning point in my career, because when all of a sudden I capped at my previous brokerage and was getting 100% of my commission, they had told me that was an option when I had joined as a brand new agent, but like, I didn't believe that was something that I could accomplish. So I tuned it out. So I didn't even remember. Yeah, totally went over my head. So when I reached that achievement, all of a sudden there were these, sabotaging and, imposter syndrome issues rising to the surface of, this isn't me. This just was a fluke. Or they're all going to find out that I'm just a little children's performer and I'm an actor, and it's all going to come crashing down. And that's when I dug in and really started analyzing how I got to that point and how I wanted to move forward and how I wanted to sustain it. And I felt like that was just a big chapter shift in my career that has been a lesson that I come back to time and time again. When you're in this wonderful career where there is no ceiling to your growth, you're the only limitation to that growth. There are constant new levels that you reach where you have to adjust. You cannot go into that next level with entirely the same techniques and focus that you did at the level below. There's always challenges. Sorry, I'm a dancer, so you're going to get a lot of hand gestures. So
it's okay.
If I'm making people dizzy, just let me know.
It will make people go from Spotify to YouTube, so don't worry. But how do you manage to, and more like, what was the mindset change and your day-to-day routine change when we actually realized you're not just a performer, you're actually a very good professional in this industry and you're having success at it? Like, what was the mind? Were you haunted by these feelings that, okay, I want more and more and more. I'm going to be greedy now. Greedy, not in a bad way, like in a good way, like
Sure.
like growing, get more money, or did you just continue to go with the flow and success continue to follow you? Like, or do you stick with the same mindset?
Ooh, that's a good one, Tomas. I think there has been a constant, strong pressure that I've put on myself and continue to this day to redefine and to change the world. And so at each one of these shifting points, it forced me to take a honest look in the mirror and decide what I was going to focus on and what I was going to let go. I wasn't always successful at this, but that first big shift when I experienced my first professional level of success, the biggest discovery that came was recognizing that it was okay for me to love what I do. Because I was a teacher before, I had a sense of pride when I would go to a party and someone would ask me, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, I'm a teacher." Now, not that teachers make a lot of money, but I'm changing young people's lives. Like there was
Yeah.
worth in that.
Honorable job. Yeah.
Yes. And so when I would go to parties and people would ask me what I would do, was what I do, I had a level of shame about being a realtor. And getting to that first shift was a lot about finding grace and letting go of the shame that I had for this job and giving myself permission to love it and decide what I was going to name the work that I did and how I was going to talk about it. I decided to own the story, not to say that I completely didn't climb on that hamster wheel of production, because you do. Once you start producing and you see your name on that list anywhere of like top listing agent for the month or, top 10, whatever, it sets off an addictive behavior that is really, really hard to keep in check. The first shift was in my mindset about how I was going to view the work that I do and give myself permission to love what I do. Give myself permission to say something crazy like, I'm going to change the world as a realtor. I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to change the world one home, one buyer or seller at a time, one family at a time or client at a time. That was a first shift. I don't think I ever got like lost or focused on the money, amassing money, but the awards and the accolades, the achievement, the confirmation that, oh, I am smart. Like if I get that award, that means I'm doing something right and I'm not just a fluke. Then that became more of an addiction. And after I kind of went through this lovely, honeymoon phase of, I love what I do. I'm going to change the world and I'm going to grow my business, which I did. And then sort of like from the capping point to the icon point, that icon crossover point was another shift for me when I realized that I was what we sometimes call in the industry hamster wheeling. I'm just going, I'm just moving on to the next award and got to keep getting, got to keep earning. And then thankfully, I feel blessed to be at a brokerage where we have a variety of development, professional development, and enrichment opportunities. And then you start finding different tribes of colleagues to collaborate with that allowed me to go, oh, wow, I'm chasing something that isn't really serving me. How do I get back to some basics? So that's just a little bit of an overview of that. It's no different from our real estate market, how it kind of goes in a roller coaster ride. I feel like my journey, my success journey in real estate has been a lot of ups and downs, failing forward, or wasting time, and then real discoveries through that, and then moving forward.
And how is, as everyone is a bit worried about the market shifting, right? How's your career stage in terms of that, as you're comparing like what do you see it is the next, let's just say stage or like even mind shift that's going to happen?
Yeah. Well, I first want to say, I feel so grateful to have had a successful business so that when this little shift is happening, while I'm not closing a lot of transactions like I normally do this time of year, I have the breathe room to just immerse myself in marketing and resetting time. So I want to start by saying that's, people often talk about the benefits that you get from wealth or from success is freedom. So this journey is giving me freedom right now to not worry about how am I going to pay for next month's rent. I'm able to have a little bit of safety net because of the success that I have. Honestly, I think where we're going is, I've been hearing fear talk for decades in this industry of, oh, the iBuyers are going to come in or the Zillow is going to come in and all, like fear talking forward. And I'm always like, I don't think the need for realtors is going away. However, right now, I think that we may truly be at an industry changing chapter in our history, in our entire history as a profession, which is over 100 years old. I think, between, and I don't want to get too lost in the lawsuit that is sort of out and about in our industry right now as it relates to commission. But I think coming out of the pandemic, while we're in this pandemic recovery mode, everyone is stepping out of this pandemic. They've had 2 years to daydream and ponder and wander their imagination and mind about who and what they want to be. And they're coming out of the pandemic sort of ready to unleash all of their enthusiasm and excitement. So that is trickling down into our industry. And I think realtors are going to have to really spend some quality time thinking about who we want to be for the next generation. November oftentimes is a big look back at your year, analyze your business, make your plans for next year. I think this year realtors are going to need, and I am taking time to take stock and plan more forward than just next year. I think we're going to be fine. I mean, I feel very lucky being in the Austin market. I think, 2023 might be not a typical year. We might have a lot of disruptors. But I think by 2024, things are going to be back to normal. So I'm asking myself right now, what am I going to do in 2023 that's going to relaunch my business? And that's what I'm doing. I'm relaunching creative, teaching and video, and I'm writing more. I am, like I was talking about in my success story, the big leaps happened when I was at a pain point and found a way to leapfrog and generate the fuel to move forward, to blaze forward. So I'm in that contemplating, meditative, brainstorming phase of, all right, what do I want to do moving forward? What's going to be next? What if there isn't buyer agents moving forward? What if there aren't brokerages? What if half the realtors get out of the industry post pandemic? There's all sorts of scenarios, and I try not to get lost
If you
too
get
much.
stuck in the what ifs, you might get lost, right? So stick to your own. What you were saying about what you're going to do in 2023 that is going to relaunch your 2024, and you said you might be working on your content, because I noticed, I saw your YouTube channel, and I saw this series that you had about the story of your home, and I think those were genius. I think people can for sure resonate with that. And well, if you're not saying like, oh, this house used to have a ghost or something, I think people will like to buy that house because they will know more of it. But I saw the last video that you posted was like, what, 5 years ago? So does that mean that 2023, you're going to try to bring your creative surface, your creative soul again?
Yes, 100%. And I'm now weaving in essays and writing and blog posts. And I just, coming out of this pandemic, I have this growing desire to write, which I've never had. I've always avoided writing like the plague, but now every day I just have all these ideas. So I'm generating, and that's, part of this journey is to get back to, I'm a perfectionist. And as when I was initially creating videos, we were blazing trails, but now there's so many people clouding the market space. I found myself spiraling into, oh my gosh, I have to do what so-and-so's doing or so-and-so. And I keep waiting for perfection. So I'm trying to create some structure or some routines for me that just get me out there talking and creating and not getting too tripped up on production values. Because when we started doing the videos, production values were expected in the YouTube space. But we've lived through an entire, many iterations of the evolution of styles of creative content on video, on streaming video. So I have to adopt. And part of why some of that stopped is that I had so much business coming in, I didn't have time to create. So, and that's a beautiful, wonderful thing. But now I'm trying to go, all right, when's enough's enough? Like, do I turn away clients, or do I, lately I've been sharing my business with other realtors so that we can continue to spread this mission of holistic real estate work. That's why I launched the Holistic Real Estate Group, so that I could help train and mentor and inspire more realtors to give themselves permission to not be transactional, but actually serve the whole client and their whole needs. So that was my authentic answer, Tomas, on, yes, got a little busy, got a little tripped up in perfectionism.
All right, and I authentically accept your answer, because I think I'm more looking forward to see what you're gonna do in 2023. Not even if you sell 200 homes in 2024. I'm looking forward to what you're gonna do to pick that up again, right? Because the content that you create in the past, some of it is infinite, right? Like a video on YouTube can be constantly getting you business, but some of it also has a lifetime value, right? If you make a
Yeah.
video for a house and you already sold that house, the video is still there, but it's not going to bring you any new business. So you need
Yeah.
to refresh that content, stay active. And
Yes.
if you're busy with clients, like there's it got to be a balance there to make you generate business in the future as well, because it's not only now, you know.
Yeah, and I was saying this morning, in another interview that I was participating with, they asked me for one question that I would recommend to other realtors, or captures what my focus is right now. And I wrote down, do you know what balances you? And I'm getting better at recognizing when I'm out of balance. And if I don't balance my creativity with my work, I love serving. I love serving clients. I really, really enjoy doing the business of real estate. But if I do too much of that and not enough creative, or not enough helping our industry evolve or grow or face its current challenges, I kind of feel out of whack. So I'm hoping to get back to balancing all of the things that makes Jill Jill.
Nice. And yeah, you said you wanted to promote the Daydream initiative. Do you want to tell our audience what is this about?
Yeah, so years ago, I, at a middle point in my career, I had come through a chapter where I had been serving clients nonstop and didn't give myself vacation time. reset time. It was just nonstop go. And I hit a burnout wall. And there was about a month where I couldn't motivate myself to do anything. And I've got this brown leather chair in my living room that looks out at our big historic live oak in our backyard. And I just remember day after day, I would just sit there and just stare at this tree. And the whole time while I was staring, my mind was wandering, but I was also kind of beating myself up about, why aren't you getting stuff done? Why aren't you making a video? Why aren't you, writing a novel? Why don't you get that book? Like, why aren't you get more? So-and-so is selling 10 more homes than you. But what I discovered at the end of this month-long, really probably was more like a month and a half, was that my body was forcing me to slow down and carve out space for me to just think. And by the end of that time, I came out of that experience with so many more lessons and understanding of who I am and what I want and what's important to me, and even a variety of like really fun creative ideas that came out of that
Oak
what
tree
some would consider
living.
unproductive time.
Yeah.
And it unleashed this wonderful conversation with my husband, who's a playwright. He's a writer and a creative as well. And I started recognizing and learning that writers and creatives have a system and a routine to allow their minds to wander and be curious. And that, while that process might not seem very structured, daydreaming is one of the most productive gifts that you can give yourself. And so he and I kind of unleashed this joint venture to bring back the art of the daydream. And I feel like I'm a daydream evangelist. And I'm always encouraging people to find, even if it's just 15 minutes a day, to have unstructured daydream time. Now, that could be while you're in the car. Sometimes driving is a great daydreaming time. But I also encourage people to
but pay attention to the road, though. Like, we don't want to cause any accidents with this, Jill. We're not after any lawsuits.
No.
So you always need to do the warning, like your life comes first, something like
Yes, your
that.
life comes first. But really, like, some of the best daydreaming is, I do a lot of my daydreaming in the morning where I get a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and I do just sit and start the day by what some people might call tree bathing, or, just sitting under a tree. I'm inside looking out the window because sometimes in Texas it can be hot, although we're having a little cold spell now. But to me, nature is my best daydream space, getting outside of my regular routine and just sitting and allowing my thoughts to go in whatever direction. And then I've evolved that. We've talked, my husband and I have sort of explored and crafted exercises to help people take that daydreaming to a next level of, okay, what do you do with your daydreams? How do they become whispers of projects or ideas that you might want to explore in the future? And sometimes that's doodling, just drawing on a notebook. Sometimes it's voice to text, recording your thoughts and ideas. And you're kind of creating a board of ideas that you can come back to. We've all heard stories of somebody inventing something, and when someone asks, how did you get that idea? Oh, it came to me one day while I was baking or while I was climbing a tree. Sometimes our minds need distraction. And I've, started collaborating with some other friends of mine that have we have daydream retreats where, people bring in their daydream activities. Sometimes it's sewing, sometimes it's knitting, sometimes it's There's this wonderful art of people that go create rock art outside. You know, sometimes it's eating or cooking, gardening. It's something that your body is going to do that kind of distracts your mind so that it can do its thing of wandering. We want our minds to wander. So
For
we're
me,
just
it's actually walking.
ah
I do it mine with walking. You know, I like my hiking, and when I when I'm doing my trails is I of course I try to be in the moment and enjoy nature and everything around, but I let also my mind wander into thoughts and yeah. But I would love to know how can I structure more of my daydream, because it's not that easy as people may think. It's not even easy to have an opportunity to daydream because nowadays people wake up, they go to Instagram, they go take a quick shower because they're late to work, and instead
mhm.
of falling asleep, I don't know, they are reading a book, watching a movie. They're not letting their brain disperse from yourself.
Yeah, and
So I think
we're
it's an
working on
amazing initiative.
creating retreats and workshops and programming, video and written programming to help, people explore this. That's why I love going to conferences, because our dinner conversation was a form of daydreaming for me.
Hmm.
Because we weren't talking about real estate. It started with a hi, my name is, and where are you from? And then we just let our conversation meander and wander. And it was, that's why I love going to conferences, because I love interviewing people. I love hearing people's stories, and it sparks so much creativity for me. And my husband, walking is a big one for him. Like if I know he's working on a play or a writing piece, he'll sometimes walk for an hour or two. And
Yeah.
he always has a field notes or a recorder on him.
Yeah, the same. And sometimes even when I don't walk outside, sometimes I even walk inside the house because I can sense it.
Yeah.
So I share that with your husband. But yeah, Jill, how can our audience reach out to you if they want to know more about this holistic approach to real estate? If they want to work with you, if they want to know more about the Daydream initiative, like let us know.
Absolutely. You can email me always. I find email to be the best because then I can structure it and it's not getting lost in social media land or website land. But Jill at holisticreg.com. Jill, Holistic Real Estate Group is what the REG is for. So Jill at holisticreg.com. You can email me, but you can find me. I've got the Austin Holistic Real Estate Group, Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. I do spend a lot more time on Facebook. You can go to our Holistic REG website and read all of our content, and you can message me through our website. But either one of those places are great. Or you could just, my personal page is jillleberknight.com.
Nice. And stay tuned because Jill is going to start writing a lot. So we're going to want to read that. But yeah, Jill, thanks a lot for coming on here. It was amazing to meet you. Amazing to fulfill this podcast finally, almost 1 month after
I know.
we left the
And I
conference.
want to get a picture of you today, Tomas, because I'm going to document this moment where you
Please do,
inspired me to step forward.
please do, and yeah, and you inspired me as well, and everyone that is listening here, because I almost feel like this is kind of like a private conversation, but like actually someone is listening. But but yeah, they have that opportunity to also bring that value from you, and I appreciate you coming on the Icons of Real Estate.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you for continuing to spread the mission of hearing and sharing people's stories. That's so important. Thank you, Tomas.
And we shall continue. Thank you, Jill. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.